Hello, Galaxy! That was a legitimate sneeze that happened right about the start of the stream. Did not mean to begin the video that way. Sorry if I got any on you. I apologize. Welcome to a very late night live stream. You may remember that we live streamed TLDR early today. So you're getting 2 live streams. I wasn't sure if I was going to do a live stream in the Chris Pirillo channel tonight, but I decided for it, if only because I would have recorded my first impressions / review of the LG V30 anyway, and it would have taken a while to process and get from point A to point B. And so I decided, well, why don't we just do it live? We'll do it live! And I didn't know I was going to do this until about 5 minutes ago. So thank you for being here with me. You can see that behind me is the chat room, the Discord chat room, which you can join, open 24/7. It's easy to join. Head over to either twitch.tv/Chris Pirillo. The link is in the video description. And there, you will be able to become a sub of mine on Twitch. And then when you're a sub, you get access to the Discord chat. Then you can have fun in the chat room here behind me. You could also head over to patreon.com/Chris Pirillo. Link is in the video description, and become a patron. You could be a sub and a patron. And then when you become a patron, you can also get access to the chat here. And you can tell who's who, kind of, where they come from, based on the color of their handle, if you're able to pick up those details. So you are here to potentially ask me questions in relation to the LG V30. If I do not answer a question that you want me to address, or that you can't read in a spec sheet on your own, I may address it in tomorrow's TLDR, as you very well know by now, or should. TLDR is in the Locker Gnome YouTube channel, youtube.com/Locker Gnome. Over there, oh, nice, that's the thumbnail for the video. It's pretty cool. I like having it. It's color commentary behind me. I'm also going to answer the question, Chris, what do you do on Friday evenings at 9 in the evening? Is it really evening at this point, or is it like full-on night? I geek out. And given that the day that I had was filled with geekiness, a different kind of geekiness, Lego brick geekiness, given that BrickCon is currently happening once again here in the Seattle area, one of my favorite events of all time. So, yes, the iPhone is definitely not on the network, so hopefully we'll have no bandwidth issues whatsoever. If you have any super chats, feel free to post them. I will see your super chats. I may not see the regular chat room, depending on how the rest of this goes. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in now that I've given a couple minutes for people to pop into the live video feed. Hopefully you set notifications. You can't say I didn't warn you. I've been telling you, set notifications for this channel and the other one. That's the only way to find out when I'm going live or when I've uploaded a video. You always got to press the bell. Hit that bell. Ring that bell, man. Ring it. I'd say ring my bell, but I'm afraid that's got, like, another meaning. I don't know if I'm using a euphemism at that point. So, this is the LG V30. I'm not going to talk about anything that you might be able to read on your own, or, let's say, watch any other average tech review out there. They're just regurgitating specs. You know, I'm not going to insult your intelligence. I'm going to tell you about my experience. My experience, by and large, is in relation to the software and how it sings in harmony, or should sing in harmony, with the hardware. I have documented this. I've got, like, a list of notes. Pros and cons. But I'm going to begin with the pros, just to start it off on the right note. I also have a separate set of notes that I'm not going to cover, so I didn't mean to cover, speaking of covering the chat there. I'm going to be giving directly to the LG team, because a lot of the issues that I ran into were specifically software related, and potentially in relation to LG's modification of Android, which, in the past, I've never really... I don't want to say appreciated. I've appreciated certain aspects of it, but only if it provides something that I couldn't get otherwise. And that, to me, was the bigger challenge to face with LG's modification of Android on this particular device. So I found a few features that I believe are LG-oriented. You know that, or you may know, when the phone's off, you can double tap to unlock it effectively, or to wake it up. Yeah, to wake it up. And then, of course, I've got authentication on, so I just slide my fingerprint over the sensor, which is fast. Like, that is a big deal. to me, I mean, you've heard companies brag about the speed of their sensor. It's speedy. That is definitely like lightning fast. You saw how quick it was. I put my finger there, didn't have to wrestle with anything, and was able to unlock it. Very rarely have I run into an issue. Maybe a couple times when I was kind of fumbling with it, and it's like, I don't know that fingerprint. What are you trying to do here? And then I had to do what was called a knock code unlock. So you set up a certain pattern. So in case your fingerprint's not recognized, you can use a tap sequence to be able to unlock the device, which I thought was rather unique. Not, a compelling feature, but still another way of authenticating beyond the normal passcode or, let's say, your pattern. And the pattern has been seen to be very easily toppled, so I haven't ever used a pattern to lock my device at all. Another thing that I found that was kind of neat, and you'll have to pardon that I am... I'm not going to say an Android noob. The first Android device I tried, I think, was the HTC Evo? HTC Evo 4G? Yeah, that takes me back. It was a horrific experience. And I said that in the video. Man, I was raked across the coals for saying that. So, I'm not a stranger to Android, and I've been watching its evolution. I've had various Android devices, but it's difficult for me to be able to compare this to a Google contemporary because my use of a Nexus 6P has been limited. I didn't get the original Google Pixel. I still want to get the original Google Pixel. My Google Pixel 2 and 2 XL are hopefully shipping soon, but I'll have a better idea in terms of various aspects of LG's modification versus just the general software experience on this phone. So pardon as I kind of blur the lines. I'm talking about this device, this software, this overlay, this experience. Specifically, when I was, let's say, in a web browser here, and I was scrolling, the software buttons could be hidden and toggled, which was really neat. Like, you just swipe up and then they're there. Or you can, of course, lock them down and then they're back, so they're always at the bottom if you want them to. Or you get, like, full screen view. Now, if that's an LG thing, it's awesome. If it's an Android thing, even better, because that's the type of feature I would want on a large screen device like this. That was just nice. It was very nice to see. So you may have to let me know, or of course I'll discover it over time, but either way, it made for a very nice experience because as far as I can see, with the screen, is like this device is trying to be all screen for me. And I appreciated that nice little software feature there. And so however it was integrated, they did a very outstanding job. So I must have my settings turned down very low. I haven't tweaked with this the phone settings all that much, so it keeps falling asleep if I don't keep touching it. Like, pay attention to me, but I can't. I'm paying attention to chats. I can't pay attention to everybody. So the fact that they made that convenient and it was pretty self-explanatory, I thought was really nice. The camera, okay, I gotta tell you, this is coming from years of using an iPhone. I'm trained, even though the button's on the back, mentally I'm trained to press the button to go home. I've been doing that a lot. I've been locking the device and getting frustrated. Not LG's fault. It's just you get in a pattern, right? So then I gotta remember if I'm in a full screen app, I swipe up and press the home button. Not a big deal. I wanted to jump into the camera here. And I'm sure there was an easier way of doing it. This camera app has a lot of... Hello, Galaxy! I'm Chris Pirillo, and you've tuned into another live edition of... Why is my phone talking to me? Hang on. My phone is... I just took a picture. I was trying to turn down the volume. Hang on. Do you hear it? This is the TLDR broadcast from earlier. Hang on. Let me go back into the browser. Oh, yeah, it's playing in the browser. Okay. Let me hit pause. Sorry about that, folks. That kind of threw me off. Okay, so back to the camera app. I don't blame LG for that, by the way. That was user error. Totally my bad. Although, it would have been nice to have the video pop out at that point. If it was playing in the background, to just pop out as a default option. I think that's an option in Android Oreo, and this is running Nougat. I don't think that's... to its detriment. It's just a little feature point. I really like the wide-angle view. This is nice. Having the dual camera setup on the back, this is really cool. And I realized, I'm like, whoa, that's super wide angle. Let me put it this way. You're getting my knuckles here. And my knuckle hair. Versus here, and you're not getting my knuckles, and that's where they're being held, just to show you the distance from the lenses. So it does a pretty cool job with that. This is... Look, you're still seeing my fingers. I mean, that's That's pretty stellar. So the lenses certainly impressed me outright in terms of what they were able to accommodate. The camera app impresses me in terms of its scope of features. That to me is nice because I don't look for 13,000 different tweaks. I just want to press a button and go. I don't want it to do a billion different things. I do have further notes on the camera, but I will say this about the camera. It's got so many features, I kind of got confused. Again, I say that's a user error, but there's so many features on here that I can't tell what LG's done, what's stock Android. I mean, I know that LG's got the Cine effects. I would really like to try those, the Cine video effects, but I haven't yet had an opportunity to do just that yet. I wanted to try that at BrickCon today, but unfortunately, I just didn't think I could count on the camera or the device all that much to be able to use it in public, and I would want to be able to save and capture those things. We've got our first super chat from Michael Tristan. Michael, hello, how you doing? And I do believe that Michael's also a sub of mine on Twitch, so Michael may be popping up in chat here too. But this is, basically LG's take on the camera, and I think that as far as features go, it's packed. There's no doubt in my mind this is a feature-packed camera that definitely begs being explored. I don't know if I'm going to go as far as to compare photos and videos to, let's say the iPhone or the Pixel or any other device that I don't yet have, because I'm not sure how many people are clamoring for that. But certainly, if you are interested, I'd be happy to share my thoughts. But that's to LG's credit, a very full-featured camera that I really do want to kind of have a little more fun with. In terms of general performance, and when I say this, I'm not talking about the CPU. I already know what that is. Everyone knows what it is. We can read. In terms of actual performance, so this is where I get a little controversial. In terms of general app performance, app to app, there are definitely spots that it's not perfect, but I would say this experience feels differently smooth than iOS. And I've been complaining about iOS performance ever since iOS 7. iOS 7 has a different cadence to its disruption in performance as opposed to Android, specifically on this device. I have absolutely run into hiccups and jank and jitter, whatever you want to call it, throughout the experience. You can't mitigate it. It's just there. It's inherent. I don't know if that's an issue with LG's hardware. I don't know if that's an issue with LG's software. I don't know if that's an issue with the version of Android they're running. I don't know enough. And this is also where I get concerned with third-party overlays, which LG's done. It's given its own experience, its own brand of experience on Android. Where I get concerned is how that impacts system performance in general. I'll have a better benchmark for that with the Pixel 2 or the Pixel 2 XL, because that's stock Android as it ships today. So let's go ahead and unlock it again. But general performance, I mean, like swiping around, yeah, that's easy. Home screen's easy. But open an app. Smooth animation on open. Google Newsstand open, scroll down. Maybe it's clean-ish. It's very smooth-ish, but definitely smoother than iOS in that general app performance. Let's say, okay, that's Newsstand. News and weather works just the same. I don't have a lot of apps installed outright. Let's go to Play Music. I think this is the first time I've launched it on this device. Launches pretty quick. Oh, yeah. Look at that. 30-day free trial, then $9.99 a month. Individual or family. Oh. Okay, so I guess I've got to do this then? Okay, hopefully I don't have to go through some kind of... is it going to charge me? I don't want to cancel any time. No. I don't like doing that. That annoys me because I'll forget. Oh, it just kicked me out. All right. That was not fun. Oh, allow Google Music? Sure. We'll allow it. We will allow it. Music for where you are. This is a Google Play thing, by the way. For music. At the gym, in the car, on the couch, get music based on your location. That's pretty cool. More. Okay, so I got to go in here and do another permission. Allow Google Play Music to access device's location. Sure, why not? Knock yourself out. So in scrolling down, first load. I mean, granted, this stuff was probably loading in the background. Pretty smooth. Let's go ahead and open the menu. Smooth slide out. I don't have any new or music libraries, so let's go to new releases. It loads. So there's some frame drops there on initial scroll, but then even when the images are caching, this music app out of the box is smoother than Apple Music on iOS. My only comparison. So that is the type of performance that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about after the image is cached. I'm talking about specifically, when it's first loading. I mean, I do see frame drops. Yes, it can stand improvement. Is that LG's problem? I'm inclined to say no. I think that's Google's problem. More so than Android's problem. The Google Music team needs to be paying better attention. Now, for some reason, it decided to go landscape. And I tilt it further and it doesn't go landscape. Okay, now it goes landscape. Yeah, so anyway, the general performance is smooth. Even in going from portrait to landscape, hella smoother than iOS. Just like night and day. So those are the types of performance benefits I've seen in this LG device. And I'm happy to see that. I'm very happy to see that. We're not out of the woods. What I'm going to do after, I really dive into Android is start picking it apart and say, who do I need to talk to about this? I'll talk to my I don't know what I'd call him. I'd say ally in performance for Google's Pixel team at least, and say, hey, who do I talk to about that? When it first loaded, it kind of janked. It dropped a few frames. Chrome has been on here hit or miss. It kind of depends on the website, but I've already contacted a couple of website owners. They said, yeah, it's a problem. We're trying to fix it. But generally speaking, though, it was web performance. I thought was okay. I'm not talking about the speed at which the page loaded. That's a different issue altogether. Okay, I'm talking specifically about how it performed, because that, I think, speaks not just to the quality of software, but certainly the quality of the hardware that it might be running on, or the software experience on the device itself. Scrolling was generally smooth in. Boy, I fell asleep again. In Chrome, we all use the web browser. But I felt it absolutely could have been better. It could be because of the resources loading on a page, but even in using an app that launches into another page, Chrome still got a long way to go. I do blame Google for that. It ain't great. Y'all think it is, but it ain't great. Certainly not compared to Safari. Safari is about the only dream come true on iOS. If you want to see performance, Safari is it. And Google has been playing catch up, pretty much from the very beginning. So I just got to be honest with that. But I want to say it has been generally a smoother experience than iOS, generally speaking. So that's to LG's benefit, because that's the experience I'm using here. A very responsive screen. I never felt like I would do. There have been exceptions, and I will note that in my negatives. But I never felt like the screen was trying to keep up with my finger as I was scrolling necessarily. I felt that I wasn't being bottlenecked by the hardware. I may be bottlenecked by the network connection, which, again, I'm grateful that T-Mobile provided this as a review unit. I'm not slagging their network. I mean, the network, honestly, here where I am is amazing. I'm just like, dang, dude, that's fast. I'm using Chrome, I hardly searched for it, and the results are done. So, there's some tricks that I think Google has applied to speed. That's a big deal for me. But yeah, the network's been rock solid. But I'm just saying, sometimes you don't know what to blame. I'm getting chat people thinking, oh no, we're gonna get into a Chrome versus Safari war. This is not about Chrome versus Safari. I will tell you why you're wrong a little later. So, because remember, you're talking to the guy who picks up dropped frames. I see them. And Chrome drops frames left and right, dude. No denying it. You don't realize how bad something is until you see how good something is. I should get that on a t-shirt. No one would buy it. There was in the camera app, sorry, I didn't mean to jump, but there's a warning. You've got to see this. So let's say I'm using the camera and my finger is covering the lens or whatever. Okay, hang on. Now it's going to make a liar out of me. There's a feature. I turned it on in settings. Okay. Covered lens, it's on, yeah. There's a feature that if it detects your fingers over the lens, it won't take it did take the picture. Okay, well, the feature's on, but okay. Well, I was going to brag about the feature, but it didn't work very well. So effectively, if your finger's in front of the lens, it'll tell you that the finger's in front of the... Okay, I'm moving on. That was a positive. There's this app trash feature, which I thought was kind of neat. There's been some apps on the device that I'm like, why is this here? And you can remove it simply by tapping and dragging, and it goes in something called app trash. and the app trash, you can basically restore that app over the next 24 hours or so. And I think that's an LG modification, but it's kind of neat. Like, oh yeah, no, I meant to take it out. And so it kind of gives you, some time. Like, oh wait, I didn't mean to delete that. And so you've got a bit of recoup time rather than having it happen instantaneously. Oh, someone says cover the sensor, not the lens. Dude, I had my whole finger over it. Literally, my entire hand is over. It is not warning me for anything. I'm gonna put, my hand. So chat, I'm following along what you're saying, but it's not a user error in this situation. Now that I've demonstrated it twice and shown you that the toggle is on, I'm moving on. There are not too many redundant apps, and this is something that I've had an issue with over the years with Android and third-party modifications. It's kind of annoying to be on one phone. Hang on. Yeah, there's some dropped frames when you exit out of the camera too. What I'm saying is normally like I swipe and that's smooth, that's clean. But then if I, open the camera, it's smooth. But when I exit, it's like, and then now it's smooth again. So there's some issues with performance being consistent on there. I'm saying that's seemingly an exception to a generally smooth rule. But I didn't see too many redundant apps outright. Nothing that I couldn't necessarily mitigate, but I would still be inclined, like music's installed, but Google Play Music was also installed. So I'm like, why do I need both of them? I guess I know different music preferences, I guess, different way of managing music. But to me, I think that potentially does a disservice to the user. I'm saying LG, I think, did a good job at minimizing the amount of duplication that one might run into specifically. The next point I made, effectively, I think to its benefit, I mean, it's a solid piece of hardware. There's zero doubt. I mean, this is clean. It's nice. It feels nice. Looks nice. As a phone goes, but you could customize the software. You could use a different launcher. I mean, it's the benefit of Android. I could pretty much eliminate all the third-party apps on here and just use my favorite apps. Oh, I accidentally toggled Google. Oh, no. Back. I must have done this. Yeah, no, that's not what I did. I guess I haven't turned on Assistant yet. Oh, no, I don't want to say no, stop. I haven't even tried Assistant on here. I've been doing a million other things. But the fact that you could customize this hardware experience with pretty much your own software, I think, is a benefit to what LG's done. Because with the hardware, if you're interested in the audio quality, the DAC, onboard, what is it? I'm not an audiophile. I've mentioned several times over. The fact you got a headphone jack, which you would want to use, because the speaker on here it works. I'll give it that. But, compared to others, I'm not sure how well it stands. It stands up against the competition. But, if you like that it's got removable media, the slot, if you like that it's got, this particular camera apparatus, you can effectively make the hardware what you want with the software. And that again, it speaks to what LG's done with the hardware. And I don't think they mind that you do that. Hey, if you get their device, I mean, do whatever you want with it, right? And that's something that I definitely wanted to mention, because I haven't modified this all that much. In fact, the only thing that I really used this for earlier was the Star Wars app for Jedi. I'm telling you, the Star Wars app runs way better on Android than iOS. So like, I don't need to scroll down, I guess. Screen's tall enough. But the Animoji here, or the Animoji, sorry. The emoji here, smooth scrolling. You don't get this smooth scrolling on iOS at all. It's like perfect scrolling or near perfect scrolling. But I locked the phone by setting a pin for the app in the task switcher. But like the Star Wars app is one example of an Android app that runs better on Android versus iOS. There's in terms of other features that they included that I thought were kind of neat, even though I don't listen to FM radio all that often apart from NPR. You got a built-in tuner. You got to put in headphones, which act as your antenna. And that was kind of disappointing. I was like, oh man, I don't want to wear headphones. But then this is neat, an HD audio recorder. This is, if you're in the market for an Android device and you're an audiophile or you love audio and recording audio, maybe you're a mobile podcaster, you're looking for, a good audio experience in an Android device, I think it'd be difficult to recommend anything apart from this, if only because what they've done with that the DAC. And I don't know much about it. I just know that that's better than what most would do. So it's not just a headphone jack. This is a high quality audio experience. If you have high quality headphones, if you're into high quality audio, that I think is a huge benefit. And potentially for tomorrow's podcast, I already recorded today's on the phone. I'm not sure it turned out all that well on the iPhone. Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I recorded it. I'll publish it later. You can subscribe in your favorite podcasting client, or potentially, use, or you just follow me on anchor.fm/Chris Pirillo. But tomorrow I'm thinking about using this one. So that's, those are some of the positives that I experienced in this device, like outright, or things that I would be inclined to do, if I continued to use it as a daily driver. So the back is really neat. I like the back. So I'm moving on to kind of the list of cons, even though I kind of interspersed in terms of experience. But the smudges really, they really grow, like on the phone. Like it's not smudge proof, which would kind of perturb me. Like I'd be doing this like all the time. Like, oh man, just get it, because it's clean. It looks nice. This looks really cool. But I mean, I really like that design. I like the fact that LG's got their logo on the back, not slapped on the front. But the fact that, fingerprints, that may be an issue for you. You can always get a case if you want. I found that in the camera app, as full features as it is, it's buggy. As perfectly demonstrated, a few minutes ago, I noted that sometimes it takes longer to shoot an HDR shot than I think it should. It takes longer than it should. Like I press it, and then I have to wait like 1 second or 2 seconds before it to do everything it needed to do, which I thought was kind of odd. That is weird. What's not weird is Liz saying Happy Thanksgiving weekend, Canadians, coming in with a super chat. So that's why I'm reading her. She gets a shout out and she gets her comment read, whatever it happens to be. But the camera app, I think, as powerful as it is, needs to bake a little longer. It registered so many mistaps in my experience. The features were kind of working. There's so much there. I got very confused. So it's almost too powerful. I know that people who want all those features, love all those features, get used to all those features, but it's a lot to take in. I appreciate the power, but I feel that it may be time to kind of flesh things out to perfection before releasing so much power. We could always see a software update. No doubt about that. It is possible. Entirely possible. Oh, yes, the Chris Pirillo emoji. The next thing I had was the cohesiveness of LG's design modification layers. So, whatever the technical term is. I'm talking about their experience. I mean, it's generally clean, but there are times that in their own apps, they're going with a different design language or, different font size or whatever. And then it feels like I'm playing with like 3 different designs on one device. I have this issue with, devices that don't have a cohesive design strategy. I have a deeper issue specifically when there's an overlay on top of something that already works. Because I just feel like I'm not using one device. I'm using a device that's designed by committee. So there were, aspects of it that just weren't cohesive. They weren't like it's the whole design ethos of this is all LG. No, there's a little bit of Google, Android, and there's a little bit of LG. And that's something that, I feel, is to LG's detriment because the software experience is everything to me. You could get a third-party launcher and that may mitigate some of it, but ultimately you can't get rid of the LG experience, out of the box. And I feel that they need to do a lot more work with it. Not necessarily in terms of performance. I think they're definitely getting there. You can always eke out, more frames per second, cleaner animations. But for the most part, it's getting there. I can't say that it would be there yet, for me. Not sure that every app looks clean with the curved corners. So this is something that is a little concerning to me. because I don't know if this is an LG mod outright, not necessarily the screen, and how it accommodates rounded corners. What's a better way to... let me go ahead and open up the web browser. So you got like rounded corners at the bottom, and then at the top, you can't really see... Got to get that. I can't get the status bar out of the way outright. But there's sometimes that things seem odd, like in the corners, like it just like odd spacing, because the app doesn't necessarily understand that there are rounded corners versus hard line square corners or angled corners. Moreover, here's another example. The padding is non-existent when you rotate into landscape mode. I mean, it's a clean screen. I don't mind the curved edges. It's just that they haven't modified the layout here such that the time juts up right against the edge, and that is a little jarring because I think the padding in portrait mode is a little more clean. I'd only get concerned if I had too many icons stacking up, all at one time with the notifications outright. But, that was just something that I had noticed. There's some incongruent padding, and I got a little worried about that, especially with the software buttons at the bottom, because I know there are other devices that kind of have the same kind of screen, and I wonder how they interact with that experience outright. I never felt like in when I raised the software buttons, I never felt like I couldn't see them or that they were somehow diminishing the quality of experience because they've had this nice shade behind them, so it separates. It's a layer away from the content. That would be concerning if it did not. So I thought they've done a pretty good job. They just need a little more spit and polish. Yeah, the last thing I guess that I can say at this point is I would be inclined to replace the launcher and use my own software experience. I may go and do that. This device may be the Star Wars app device for Jedi because she'll ask for my phone. I'm like, no. But there's very little that would keep me from saying don't get it. If you're a fan of what LG's done with the hardware, you can effectively tweak the software. If you're used to Android's snags, its issues, I think this is certainly a step in the right direction. You can make it yours, and I think more than anything, what I would applaud LG on is specifically giving more users what they seem to be clamoring for, specifically removable media and a headphone jack. I realize that's more about the hardware than the software, but the hardware is certainly a benefit, but it was a software experience that would ultimately compel me. One thing, and I gotta ask, I guess I've had OLED devices, OLED devices before, or POLED. I guess this would be my first POLED. It's LG's take on OLED. I notice at times, like I'll be like on a screen, like a white screen, and it just seems like the white is uneven. Like, and I can't tell if it's because I got fingerprints smudged on the screen or what. Have y'all noticed that? I don't know if that's a hardware defect or if it's working as advertised. I'd be curious to know because I would like to learn that. It was just something that I definitely picked up on. Let's see here. Can I switch to another? Okay, so let me go to this. It's difficult to effectively translate for you, but there, like I said, at times it just seems like if I look really close, I can see like lines. And I thought this was a high-res screen, but maybe it's not high enough. Maybe I need to modify it further in the settings and in the screen scaling issues. But there just seems it's not as clean as I guess, or as uniform as I would expect it to be. You may not be able to see it, but the lines are always, they're just like these fine lines. It's like a very, 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 very fine, and it just creates this ununiform color splash. And I'll be honest, I've never had that issue with an LCD on an iPhone ever. So that I don't know how I feel about that. Other people may be used to it. Other people may not see it, but I definitely see it, especially with white as a background. Let me turn off auto here. See if it gets mitigated with a brighter screen, but specifically, and please feel free to explain this to me. I'd be happy to learn. I'm not as much a hardware guy as many of you are, but specifically when it's dimmer, I think it's more pronounced for some weird reason. But I don't know, dude. I'm like, okay, I guess that's a thing. That would be something that would absolutely bother me. I would tell you that. I right up front. It would bug me. Would I get used to it? I suppose I would. I mean, if it was a good software experience, I would get used to it, but that is something that I think kind of needs to be, worked through or around. But yeah, we'll table that for now. I have been watching chat. I appreciate everybody joining me, not just in Discord chat, the subs from Twitch, as well as the patrons on Patreon. And I appreciate that we also have quite a few people who have tuned in live. What else can I answer for you? I was only planning on doing a half hour with this, but specifically in relation to the LG phone that I've got here, please ask me questions. If you want to ask general questions about other phones, etc., tune into TLDR. Happens every weekday. YouTube.com/LockerGnome, and you can ask me any question you want. Keep the super chats rolling in if you are so inclined. I appreciate that. But let me go ahead and see if I can find any comments that seem interesting or potentially any questions outright. So a lot of these opinions are very subjective. Obviously, some things are more empirical. But TM876, talks about comparing LG's screens with other screens. That's something that I just don't have as deep of an experience with, and it's something that, again, I'm very compelled to try other devices, so that specifically in the Android range of products, specifically with pure experiences, if only to gain a better understanding about what I like more and how that translates to a good experience for me. And I'd rather have a smaller screen and a better screen than a larger screen that's just not as nice to my eyes. But it's all relative. William Pina asks, since switching to the Note 8, the feel of the screen feels so much nicer. How's the LG 30s feel? It feels nice. I don't know how else to say it. It's comfortable. It doesn't feel too large. It doesn't feel like a phablet. Are they still calling them phablets? It's nice. I mean, the screen itself feels nice. I can tell you that. The device itself feels nice. On the sides, you've got rounded edges. I never felt uncomfortable in holding this device at all. This is certainly a compelling hardware experience that is supported by software features. That's me being generous, but I really feel that it's the marriage of hardware and software will make it. Joshua, sorry, I missed the name. It scrolled. Oh man, chat's going too fast. I'm not complaining. I'm seeing if I can get it. Joshua Austin. Also, some people are saying that the onboard microphones are really good on the phone, so doing an audio podcast would be cool to compare to the iPhone. Well, the iPhone, when I've recorded, it's not been in prime conditions. If it's charging, sometimes there's a chirping sound in the background, but that is it's something I should note. But yeah, I do plan on recording the podcast tomorrow on the LG V30. Another reason you'd want to subscribe to the podcast, because as I'm trying different phones, I will be using them and their microphones to basically demonstrate, all right, today I'm recording the podcast on this, and now I'm recording on that. And if it sucks, don't blame me. You can blame me if the content sucks, but if the quality's not there, you know who to talk to. L Road CW says, Chris, the hardware is not buggy. Okay, well, it doesn't look right. Michael Tristan says, smiley, and he came in with a super chat and did a smile. Your smiley emoji. Yeah, the emoji right there. That's your super chat, is just a smiley emoji. I'll take it. I love it. Edward St. Andrew asks, what version of Android is it running? Let me confirm, but I want to say 7.1.2. It would likely at some point in the near future get the update to... I did it again. I used the back button to get home instead of the software button. 7.1.2 is what I want to say. So let's swipe down and get settings. General. About phone. I will get there. Phone name. Update center. Software info. 7.1.2. This is another thing kind of annoyed me. It's got two sets of updates. System updates and app updates. And I forgot to mention this because I found this when I was out and about. What annoys me is that LG's not managing their apps through Google Play. Why? Moreover, when I launched Google Play, the Play Store, the App Store, Google Play, what is it called? Google, give me a second. Dang it, Play Store. When I went to My Apps and Games, some of the apps that I had installed, like pre-installed, weren't listed here. And I had to search for them to get updates for them. That was weird. And then overnight, Facebook installed itself, as well as a few T-Mobile apps that weren't there before. And I'm like, Okay, that was a very weird experience. So I definitely want to follow up with that. That was a software experience that I was not expecting. I should have put that into my list of kind of like, but I apologize because that was something that I experienced before or after I wrote down that list. iPhone 8 camera versus LG 30 camera. I haven't done any side-by-sides outright. I don't know if I'm as inclined to do like a full-on camera comparison experience like I did between the iPhone 7 Plus and the iPhone 8 Plus. Not to say that you're not interested in that. It just does take a lot of time. I think that it's ample in terms of the shots that I took, not just with zoom or without. I sit there, I take a picture. Did it take? There we go. So I took the shot, saw some blur on move away. But this is a shot from across the room. Even though with HDR on, and I have HDR always set to on to exit swipe down from top. Okay, cool. I feel that it wasn't a very HDR-y shot, which was kind of disappointing. I had a lot of things here, including my BrickCon bag, that I think could have been handled better in HDR rather than this shot. Not to say HDR is the end-all, be-all. The red is pretty close to true. The blue is a little brighter than it needs to be. Oh, let's do this. Let's go back to the camera. I'm just gonna confirm again. HDR on, so it's like it's always on, not auto, on. So you can't say, oh, you didn't have it on. I know what I'm doing, generally speaking. So in terms of the camera, I don't know. If it doesn't take a good HDR shot, I'm like, they can fix it in software, I guess. But, compare that to, let's just take a corresponding shot here. Let's make sure HDR is on. This is the thing I hate about iOS software. Let's go ahead and same focal point. I'm going to get some flare, but there's a photo. It snaps really quickly, instantaneously, and the bag is not as bright. Screen is not, the light is going to be a different temperature than the light in the room. But, in zooming in on the stormtroopers, the white stormtroopers, fewer of them are blown out. There's no blowing out of the stormtroopers in terms of the white. And in the bag itself, I've got night mode on, so it's going to have a reddish tint to it, to my eyes. But this looks like a fantastic HDR shot. Compared to the LG camera outright, with HDR on, not taking as good a shot. I'm not going to say you can interpolate that for every shot that you take. I think the benefit of an LG V30 camera may very well be for the Cine effects that LG includes. Oh, thank you, Jason. Thank you for posting it back there, because sometimes I miss them. Jason Wiltshire. This is how they show up for me. V30 wide-angle camera or iPhone zoom camera. Ooh. If I had a choice between the two, I used the iPhone zoom camera today in the BrickCon at BrickCon. So I've used that zoom, but that said, I also feel that the wide angle, I think I'd like more. I don't know. There's something about it. Can't we have all three? Can we just have a 3-camera phone? It's pretty cool. The first time I saw it, I'm like, dude, that's crazy. It's easy to toggle, too. You just press that little button, like trees, and I couldn't figure out what the hell the trees are. I'm not outside. I don't want to take trees for. Okay, hang on. So I was pointing the camera like this, and it said, make sure the lens isn't covered. I'm like, my finger's nowhere near the... All right, fine, whatever. So it finally gave me the warning. It's been catching up. I like the wide angle lens, but I used the zoom lens today, admittedly, to crop other things out. I could honestly, between the two, I'm going to say I would rather have the wide angle lens. And here's why. Because I can always crop or zoom on the iPhone camera. I may lose a little bit of resolution, but I could effectively get to what I wanted in terms of a composition of a shot. Is T-Mobile your current carrier? If so, opinion. So T-Mobile provided the SIM. I appreciate it. It's a tester SIM. That's how I usually work with T-Mobile. Dez has been great. He's been amazing. We continue to work. I haven't done a lot with phones as of late for a lot of different reasons. But the hope is that he will continue to connect me with not not just other devices, but the people inside this industry, because I really appreciate that. So yeah, to me, the T-Mobile network has worked very well when I've been able to test it, and that's to its strength. It's made it a pretty compelling experience. You gotta have a network that's capable. One of the benefits of the phone, speaking of hardware, is being on band 71, 600 megahertz, which is more important, I think, for the future, or specifically in areas of the world that are not as well connected with spectrum. But yeah, that's really what I had to say about that. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to throw some Chris Pirillo emoji at everybody, because this is so awesome. Am I the only one who wants to do this? Chris Pirillo, 9. Let's do that one. I've got like 28 of these head emoji. Chris Pirillo. Have I done that one? Yeah. Have I done this one? No, not that. Oh, I guess I did the other one twice. Oh, man. I just love... I'm sorry. I'm not going to say I love my face. I just think having face emoji is kind of fun. So... let's see here. Any other LG-related questions now that I've had fun with my emoji? Anything else? I don't see anything. Infinity display for the win. I guess that means it curves off to the side or something. I guess it's neat. I mean, I like it. It's clean. I don't feel like I'm staring at bezels, which is an issue for some people more than others. But that's I think also a subjective opinion. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's good. I think it is. It's a part of the product. Christian Daw asks, why not the LG G6? Because I didn't get one to review. That's the answer to that question. But the the LG G6 is not the luxury brand. It's not the luxury line. The G line is not the V line. The V line is the luxury brand. But I would be, potentially interested to see, how it compares within the family. Sometimes that's the best comparison to make. Like, how does this one feel and work against the other? The G6 against the V30. They're not exactly the same, obviously, but they do come from, the same family. Does the LG V30 have 10-bit video files? I have not tested that yet, so I can't answer that question outright. Thank you for asking LG-specific questions. Again, to clarify to the people who must have just joined in chat, if you have any other questions to ask that are asked beyond the topic of my head emoji, or the LG V30 experience that I've had, you can ask it in the TLDR live broadcast every day. Next one is tomorrow. So, I'm not seeing too many questions that are coming in at a regular clip, so I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. I just thought this would be a nice experiment to do with everybody, giving you an opportunity to see it happen live. There's the chat. Again, you can join it. Head over to twitch.tv/Chris Pirillo. Become a sub. You can do that for free if you have Amazon Prime connected to your account. Or head over to patreon.com/Chris Pirillo. Become a patron. You get instant access, or pretty much instant access to the chat room and Discord right away. Instant access right away. Okay, now I know it's really time to start winding down. Any other questions on the LG V30? You can ask in comments, but you can also save it for future TLDR broadcasts. As I mentioned, that's at youtube.com/Chris Pirillo. Stay tuned to tomorrow's podcast. You can subscribe on your favorite podcast client. I should be listed as Chris Pirillo. Or you can just follow me on anchor.fm. Use the app. It's a great way of podcasting itself, but I'll be using this one specifically if you want a living example of that. I'll likely be simulcasting the podcast recording once again on twitch.tv/Chris Pirillo, so you can subscribe to me there. Be sure to turn on your notifications on all the YouTube channels. And I hope you have a good day. I will absolutely talk to you tomorrow. I've got more good things coming down the pike. Couldn't do this without any one of you, all of you, honestly. I appreciate you. I love you as well. At this point, however, I'm going to leave you to your own devices. May the Force be with you.